All right, welcome back into Indie B&B. Today I'm joined by Julith out of LA. How's the 5 p.m. hour treating you out there?
I'm not in my car on the highway right now, so I'm happy.
I can imagine. I can imagine. As an Atlantan, I ride with you on the traffic. I
Yeah, no,
can't
we're
take
in the
it.
same boat for sure. I feel the solidarity.
I love it. I love it. Well, something you can do in traffic. Obviously, you can stream "This Is a Kindness." Your latest album. In April that came out on the 10th, and
Yeah.
for you, obviously, pretty deep album, pretty reflective. I mean, what are some of the things that Obviously, there's a lot that came into it, and want to hear from you as far as just how this one came together, and where some inspiration was drawn. Obviously, some heavier things there. So, if you want to take it away there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love that question. I think my goal with this EP was to explore sonically. I have a previous artist project that I worked under, which is my government name, Pratt. And I stayed pretty constrained within the folk singer songwriter realm, and I love that realm so much. And I found myself at the time of making This Is a Kindness just feeling like I wanted to push that boundary for myself a little bit and kind of see what I was capable of. And I'd say a lot of the inspiration came from working with my producer, Ariza. He's incredible, and we just kind of spent so much time in each session talking about the music that was touching us at that moment, and really getting into what themes I wanted to bring into this project. And so I feel like it was a really intentional process, both sonically and lyrically, to kind of dive into new worlds thematically and sonically.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, what were some of the things that you guys were listening to that as you were, beginning the project, hey, this is something that I want to bring this element of this into it, or this or this.
Yeah, I feel like some of our biggest inspirations were D'Angelo. Black Messiah album was a huge one, and also we were listening to a ton of Rage Against the Machine and heavy stuff. Limp Bizkit was a huge inspo. The Gorillas, or just Gorillas, just really heavy, rich, deep music that had a lot of political meaning behind it. I think that was something that we were leaning into. I think it's just kind of a sign of the times right now, that we were all feeling like we wanted to express the full spectrum of human emotion as much as we could within a project. And I feel like that's how we ended up with songs like Phantom Limb and Pure Spite on the same project. We were just kind of going for it.
Yeah, I noticed that on the with the order of everything. We end with Pure Spite, and we're kind of for those who haven't listened, it's a much it starts off slow, but it's a little bit it builds and it becomes very heavy by the end, and it's really a message of I can hear the rage in it of hey, the fuck you, I won't do what you tell me kind of thing, but in your own way. And so when you were building this album out, and again exploring sonically, how did you decide what the order was going to be, and where did that come from?
Yeah, that's such a great question. So Pure Spite was the second song that we wrote for the project. The first song was Jab, which is it's the poppiest, I think, song on the project for sure.
Yeah.
And I think after making something that felt so clean, we were let's get super dirty with it. And so we dove into Pure Spite. And I think having the contrast of those two songs, Jab being 4 on the floor, it's kind of more danceable, and then Pure Spite, which is just all over the place. I think we realized that there was room to explore. We had range just within our little writing cohort already. And so I think that kind of inspired us to jump around a little bit more genre-wise. And I think the third song that we wrote was Monsters Out of Men. So then we wanted a really heavy, more ballad song. And then that gave us context for the whole theme of the project, which was, self-reclamation, especially after abuse. And that inspired us to write Will She, Won't She, which is the opening track that's kind of this cloying, am I gonna do this type beat. And so, I think the storyline really started to take place after Monsters Out of Men was made, and we just kind of kept running from there.
Got it. Got it. I mean, when you're making all this, like, it's such a far cry from, something that's like folky and I didn't get into some of your other stuff, other than this album, but like, when you're making this, do you have like kind of a fear? You're like, man, like this is so different than what I've been doing before. Like what were some of the emotions that kind of like, and how did, people around you kind of pull you through, in that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I feel like, so I made this project in 2024, so I've been sitting on it for a while now, and
Okay.
I think I needed to sit on it for a while because I was struggling with that so much. I felt so like out of my depth, and I thought the music was so fucking cool, but I wasn't sure like if I exemplified that coolness at the time, and so it kind of took me a moment to like wrap my head around the fact that I had made something that was so different. And
Yeah.
I kind of surprised myself, which looking back is like so rewarding and so cool. And I think in the moment I kind of felt like a little listless, like I didn't even know like what to do with myself. And it's super interesting because I think the people in my life were kind of split into two camps. Like half were like, this is amazing and like you need to keep going with this. And then half of them were kind of like, oh, well, this is too much of a far cry from the old stuff. And in the time since, all of those people are no longer in my life, and I like really only carried the people who like championed me in this music. And I just think it was, wow, I'm like reflecting on it now, I'm like, it was such a like a pivotal experience for me to like make something that felt so new and then sit on it and like process it and reflect on it. And I think that that's the way that this music has like so profoundly changed my life, is it's brought on so many experiences that taught me a lot about myself and what this music means to me, which is so beautiful. That's the power of art.
Yeah, for sure. And I think like, getting in and letting it simmer for a little bit. Some people, they want to put things out very quickly and like they want to get it out. But like I think like sitting on it for a bit and kind of taking a beat, after you make something, like I can't imagine, again, I've never written anything, unfortunately, but like I can't imagine being like, I gotta get this out right away. Like I would feel like I'd need to like keep it to myself and keep it personal. So very interesting you did that. Now obviously on the flip side of it, it's like you've got this like awesome like thing here, and like people are probably asking like, hey, what are you working on, like is there something new? I'm like, oh, I've got something awesome, but I it's just not quite ready yet to get out there.
Oh
Like,
my gosh.
how frustrating was that? Like
Oh my god, it killed me. It killed me. I spent like a year and a half being like, wait guys, like this is so fucking sick. You're not gonna believe it. But I think it came out at the perfect time when I was ready for it too. And so yeah, it all worked out how it was meant to. But yeah, I definitely sat on it a lot and was like anxious to put it out into the world and see, who it might be able to impact.
yeah. Now the name change from Julia Pratt to Julith, like what are what's some things that you felt like needed to happen to make that switch? Is this something that you'll go back and forth and hey, like we'll do some Julia Pratt, we'll do some Julith, like is it this this one album?
Yeah, so I think Julith is my artist name now. I released this EP as a collaboration between my artist projects, like mainly on like a logistical level, just to like kind of tie them together and maybe carry over some of that fan base or listener base. But Julith feels to me so representative of this new wave of music that I've been making, that This Is a Kindness is a part of. And honestly, I think for me, like I wrestled for a long time with talking about some of the themes that I wanted to talk about in my music using my given name. It just felt like a little bit too close to home. And I think that by just separating it, even if it's in name only, it just like has created so much space for me to like expand past any sort of preconceived notion of what Julia Pratt could do, or what I as like a person can do versus who I as an artist and who I am as an artist and what I can do in that realm. So yeah, I am now Julith, and it feels so freeing.
I love it. I love it. Well, obviously some pretty, some pretty, hard themes to go through in this album, right?
Yeah.
And I know, again, there's probably some things that, you draw from personal experience, some things maybe drew from other places, like, sitting down and writing some of these songs, like, was it, difficult, or was it kind of cathartic to process that stuff? Like, talk me through what, some of that stuff.
Yeah, I think it really was a true mixture. I think for the most part, um, I just felt really passionate about what I wanted to say. And I would go into the sessions being like, okay, like this is the emotion I want to convey, or this is the story that I want to tell in particular. And then there were some sessions where we came in and we're like, let's just kind of see like what happens. And, I am a huge Pinterest girl. I'll scroll on there for hours. It's like my social media. And yeah, like sometimes like like we pulled words from just like random Pinterest quotes and just kind of like threw stuff together. And it was a really interesting, fun, like puzzle piece process. Whereas a song like Monsters Out of Men was like sitting down and like me kind of like confessionally dumping to my co-writers. And, so there was definitely like a range of like laughing in the room, screaming in the room, crying in the room, leaving the room to like get a breath of fresh air and like calm down. And yeah, it was kind of like the full spectrum. And I'd say the most like difficult songs to write emotionally were probably Phantom Limb and Monsters Out of Men, like the two like heavier tracks on the project. But I'd also say that like writing Pure Spite and Right from Left were really hard too, because I'd never like screamed on a song before.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like an emotional experience in its own way of like allowing myself to like channel that feeling in front of people, and then sitting with the fact that like, oh shit, like if this comes out, like people are going to hear me be angry, and like what does that mean for like who I am as a person. So it was just kind of like a constant like wave of emotion throughout the writing process. And then post the writing process, I mean, again, like sitting with the music for so long and like really coming to understand that like all of these truths can exist at once within me at the same time. And I feel like it was a very like humanizing experience for me, like just really tapping into like all these different aspects of being a person.
Yeah, I mean, you get the full spectrum, that's for sure. Well, you mentioned Phantom Limb and Pure Spite. Those two were kind of our song spotlights. So we could start with Phantom Limb. For that one, sonically, you've mentioned it, you kind of previewed a little bit, but how did that come from nothing to something, right? Like you sit down, and is it a lick? Is it somebody plays a chord on something? Like where are we coming from?
Yeah, that song, that's actually exactly how it started. So it was co-produced by my producer Ariza and his wife Ellen, and she was on upright bass and he sat down at the piano, and they just started playing, just like jamming together, and we were all just kind of in the room like listening to them play, and they started reaching like this flow state where they started playing the main bass line riff, and it just like it felt like morning to me, like I felt like something had died and it was so touching and haunting and beautiful. And like I think literally out of thin air, it was just kind of like, I knew you in another life. Like it just felt like this loss, and the song just kind of like poured out of us. I think that one was a pretty quick write, and I think it's because grief is an emotion that like we can all like viscerally connect to on some level, and I think all of us in the room just like had so much to offer lyrically to that song, and so it felt like true collaboration, like from the get-go, of just like two people jamming together.
Wow, that's awesome. I mean, it seems like I ask that, and like a lot of times, the ones I ask about are always, hey, the shortest one. It's like this. You kind of like they just, there's something that just kind of fit together, really well. What for you, like as you were getting in and kind of jumping in that process, and you hear the jam, like. Are you immediately, you mentioned, did you hum something along along that melody, or like was there, how'd that work?
Yeah. We typically have like a voice memo going from the start of the session. Like I'll just hit play on that maybe and kind of like see what happens, because it's typically in the moments where like you're just in the zone that something happens, and I always want to make sure that I have a record of that. So yeah, there was a voice memo going and just started like humming melodies over that, and I think for that song Because it was so quick, I think that one of the reasons for that was because like the lyrics and the melody kind of came in tandem with one another. So we were kind of like writing it like line by line, if I remember correctly. And yeah, we were just like really singing over the loop of the bass and piano that they had recorded. And yeah, I'm pretty sure actually that like the whole structure of the song was just like different cuts of their jam, and we just like
Yeah.
arranged it into, okay, this is a verse, this is going to be a pre, this is going to be a chorus, and then we just sang over it until we got something that felt right. And then we'd go in after like we had a bass melody and we'd edit the lyrics to make sure that like it all made sense and it all was like fitting the feeling and the intention of the song. And then we'd record vocals, and then all of a sudden you have a song.
Man, I mean, you make it sound so easy, but I feel like it's just not. It's not that. Like,
Well, you know,
man.
it's such a practice too. I feel like anybody can. I really believe, like I'm a firm believer that anybody can write a song. I think it just comes down to like learning how you write individually. And I think one of the most beautiful parts of this project is it was made by myself, Juan, his wife Ellen, and then two co-writers, Mags Duvall and Julia Gartha. So it was a team of 5, and we really connected on that level of you know, melding a sonic and a lyrical world together as a group. And it's hard to find, like, you know, it's rare to have like such an instant connection with people. And when I listen back to this project, I remember like the connection that we had in the room, and it's like such a beautiful like time capsule of that moment. Because yeah, sometimes you get in a room and it's like it's really hard to write a song with people.
Yeah.
But these were just 7 beautiful instances where that was not the case.
I love it. I love it. One of the other 7, of course, Pure Spite. You know, we mentioned it, you know, during the prequel there, of like, you know, just the absolute kind of, it gets your attention, and then it just, you know, it turns like so quickly. And so,
Yeah.
you know, I guess for you, when you guys are getting into that and like seeing like, all right, like when, like, did you have an idea that was like, all right, this is where it's going to just like go up like this, or like where did that kind of come from, or is it a, you know, whose ideas were it?
Yeah, you know, I think that we wrote the whole song before the outro, and we thought it was just gonna stay in that land, that like, you know, deep pocket like R&B vibe. And as we were like writing the final chorus, like Juan and I were like, okay, this is gaining some energy. Like, how are we gonna accentuate this? And we built this outro where there was just like really heavy guitars, and I think it was actually Juan who was like, you know what would be fucking insane? Like, if you screamed right now on the track. And I was like so scared to do it. Like, I was like, I don't even know how to like scream without wrecking my voice. But he just handed me a mic and was like, fucking do it. And so I screamed, and he like swiveled around in his chair and had like the most shocked expression, because I really went for it. And I started like maniacally laughing because it was so funny. And like, that's the take that we have. And it just is so fun because I listened to it and it sounds so intentional, like this crazy laughter after the scream, but that was genuinely just like us being like shocked in the room that had happened. And yeah, so I think it was definitely like a combo of him pushing me a little bit outside of my comfort zone and me like being down to like match his freak a little bit.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, you know, there's a lot of promotion and a lot of, you know, other pieces that are going into this, you know, this project. Yeah. I've seen some vignettes that are, you know, getting released on the socials. So go follow Julia and Julith on the socials. And so talk me through like some of that, like, you know, visual part of the music. You know, again, this, you're going on 2 years on this project. Like, you know, as you get in and like start to think about that stuff, like, was that something that was also thought about 2 years ago, or is this something that's like, hey, like as we release it, I gotta, you know, get some more visual things out there of it?
Yeah, you know, I love that question, and it's honestly been evolving as I've started to release the music. I've had a lot of ideas over the last 2 years for like how visually this project was going to take form. And I'm really glad I didn't act on my first ideas, because I think that they wouldn't have done them justice at all. but yeah, I have a creative director who, Graham Bouillon, who's incredible, and we've just been really brainstorming like how to bring these songs to life in 2026, since I wrote them so long ago. And so it's so interesting because I feel like in making and brainstorming the visuals, it's like this collision between my 23-year-old self and my 25-year-old self, like melding artistic compatibility. And there's moments where, like, especially with these phantom limb visualizers, for example, that is something that 2 years ago when I made this music, I wouldn't have felt confident enough to like do something that's so out there. If you haven't seen these visualizers, they're very creepy. They're like black and white. It's like
Yeah.
Corpse Bride, Tim Burton, weird movement stuff. I think it's so sick, and I think it represents the song so well. And I think that 23-year-old me would have thought it was cool, but I don't know if she would have been like so down to like go crazy with it. And so again, just like having time to really live in these songs has given me so much confidence to like embrace myself artistically where I am right now. And it's pretty cool to see those two worlds kind of combine. But yeah, so that's what we've been working on. And there's so much. I love building a visual world, and
Yeah.
we're just going to continue to keep fleshing that out and putting it out for people to experience over the next couple weeks, months, years, lifetimes.
I love it. I love it. Well, what else, as we get into, kind of touring life, and like, are we, are you working through getting a tour together? Or are we working on some more music? Where are we at in the process there?
Yeah, so I am working on putting together some shows for the back half of this year. It's definitely a goal of mine to get these songs out on the road. It's been a minute since I've toured, and I love the tour life and I miss it. So definitely prepping some shows for that. And I'm also working on finishing a whole batch of new music that will also be coming out in the back half of this year. I feel like as JULITH, something that's like really important to me is to like really consistently continue to like show the stuff that I'm making. I think by nature of sitting on This Is a Kindness for so long, I'm now in that mode where I'm like, I made this yesterday, here you go.
Yeah.
Which feels really cool. And it'll probably flip flop, and in a little bit I'll be like, I'm gonna sit on this for another 3 years, But I'm just kind of enjoying the process of making things right now and throwing them out into the world. And I really hope that I get to bring that to people in the flesh soon.
Yeah. Well, speaking of me, you obviously have some tour experience. Like, what are some places that, as you are, eyeing down shows, like, where are you targeting? Are you definitely West Coast first, East Coast? We rocking New York? Where we want to go?
Yeah, well, number one on my list is Philly, because I'm from Philly.
All right.
It's my hometown, and I love Philadelphia, and it's my city, so I gotta hit them first, or last to close out a round, but it definitely has to have, like, a moment for me.
Sure.
I think New York for sure, LA for sure, Atlanta. I have a lot of listeners in Atlanta, and I love Atlanta.
Come on down.
Yes, I will. San Francisco I've always loved playing in San Francisco, so that's a place I want to hit again. And then, honestly, like, Canada. Some of my favorite shows ever have been in Toronto and Vancouver, so I'm hoping to hit them again soon, too.
Love it. Love it. I'll throw one more in there. I saw somebody recently in Montreal. Tell you what, people in Montreal, yes. they come out.
They do come out. And you know what, Montreal? Yeah. Thank you for reminding me. Montreal is heavily on that list.
We'll get you in there. I had a good experience there, so definitely got to get them. Shout out the Montreal, the Habitants.
Exactly.
So, well, awesome. As we as we get out the year, like, obviously everyone's got to go follow you on all the socials. We'll have you linked down below here. We'll have you linked on the Spotify or the website, wherever we want to put out there, just to make sure people are getting your streaming action going. But
amazing.
want to close us out here. A little Pete Peterson party pack of questions, 20 questions right in a row, mainly this or that. Here we go. JULITH, are you ready?
I'm so ready. Hit me.
All right, here we go. Cake or pie?
Pie.
She's pieing it up. All right. Salad or soup?
Ooh, salad. That's tough.
Salad. All right. Sunrise or sunset? What are you seeing more of these days?
Ooh, definitely see more sunsets.
Sunsets. I love it. All right.
I don't wake up early enough for sunrise.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Would you rather hit a home run or score a touchdown?
Ooh, score a touchdown.
A teeter. All right. Here we go. All right. Night in or night out? What are you having more of?
Night in. I love a night in.
Okay. All right. But when you do go out and your jam comes on, and we're likely to hit the robot or the worm on the dance floor?
Oh, I fucking slay the robot. Yeah. I'm gonna eat that shit up.
All right. I love it. All right. At your favorite Tex-Mex spot, are you a guac or a queso orderer?
Queso. Heavy queso.
All right.
Oh, my lactose intolerant girlies get it too.
I love it. The cheese. Gotta have it. All right.
Gotta have
Waffles or pancakes?
Pancakes.
Pancakes.
That was a tough
All right.
one. Yeah.
Silver dollar. Silver dollar action. Here we go. Coffee or tea with your pancakes?
Coffee. Yeah, I need that caffeine.
All right. Dogs or cats?
I'm a cat mom. I love dogs, but I'm a cat mom, so I gotta go with my son and say cats.
Love it. All right. Would you say you more identify as a ninja or a pirate?
Oh. I'm so afraid of the ocean, so I'm gonna go with ninja.
All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Chips or pretzels?
Oh, chips. Heavy chips.
Heavy chips. All right. Fries or tots?
Oh, tots. Yes, sign me up for tots.
All right. Get her some tots. Let's go. All right. TV show or a movie after a long day?
TV show, and probably a familiar one.
Got it. All right. Are aliens real?
Absolutely yes. Absolutely yes.
Okay. All right. If you were a fruit, what kind of fruit would you be?
Ooh, I think I'd be a raspberry.
Raspberry. I like it. All right.
Yeah.
A little tart, sweet. In the
Exactly.
middle.
You get a
There
little
you go.
mixture of both. They're in season or they're not, you know? That's my
Yeah.
vibe.
I like it. All right. Is love at first sight real?
Yes.
All right.
I think so.
All right. And give us, two bands or artists that we ought to check out that we might not know.
Oh, that you might not know.
Or that we do know.
Okay, well, I've been listening to Geese nonstop, so I gotta go with Geese.
The Geese. Love it.
Geese, definitely. And who else has been on my mind? Ooh, I've been listening back to a lot of Declan McKenna recently, so I'm going to throw him out there.
Declan McKenna, right in time for the World Cup, little Brazil,
A little, you get it. You get it.
I like it. I like it. We'll get some Geese going and some Declan McKenna. I appreciate those recs for our folks. Well, Julith, you've conquered the Pete Peterson party pack of questions, and you have conquered the Indiebnb interview. We appreciate you taking the time to connect with us this evening. And again, everyone go stream. This is a kindness. Make sure you do it from start to finish. If you want to go backwards, if you want to get the energy first and then go up, that's also a way that has been done. But hey, got to go check it out. And then everyone, go follow her on Spotify or anywhere that you follow folks, because she's got some things coming out that will be blowing your mind. And we appreciate you taking the time to come on with us.
Thank you so much, Grant. This has been the best chat ever. I appreciate you having me.
Of course. Take care.
All right, bye.
Bye.